Bien, bonjour et bienvenue à notre réunion de midi. Donc, vendredi dernier, comme vous vous rappelez, on a eu une discussion ici dans la salle avec les journalistes en background. Et d'ailleurs, je profite pour remercier tous et toutes ceux qui sont venus. De notre point de vue, c'était utile d'engager en background avec vous. Mais pour cette raison-là, on n'avait pas annoncé l'agenda de la présidente von der Leyen depuis le podium on the record. Et donc, on va commencer par cela aujourd'hui. Demain, mardi, la présidente présidera la réunion du collège. Mercredi, elle participera à la réunion informelle du Conseil européen qui se tiendra, comme vous le savez, à Copenhague. Et ce même jour, elle assistera à un dîner offert à l'occasion de la réunion de la communauté politique européenne par Leur Majesté le roi et la reine du Danemark. Jeudi, présidente von der Leyen prendra part à la réunion de la communauté politique européenne, toujours à Copenhague. Et enfin, vendredi, la présidente se tiendra à Turin, en Italie, où elle prononcera un discours lors de la Italian Tech Week. Voilà pour l'agenda de la présidente cette semaine. Et je passe à la réunion du Conseil qui se tient aujourd'hui dans sa configuration marché intérieur et industrie, où le vice-président exécutif Stéphane Séjourné représentera la Commission. À l'ordre du jour figurent le Fonds européen pour la compétitivité, le plan stratégique pour l'industrie automobile et l'état d'avancement des mesures de simplification omnibus, parmi d'autres sujets. Et une conférence de presse est bien prévue aujourd'hui aux alentours de 17h30 avec la participation du vice-président exécutif. Donc, comme d'habitude, nous vous invitons à garder vos questions relatives au marché intérieur et industrie pour cette conférence de presse. And now in English, I would like to welcome a group of visitors that are joining us today from far away. You are 8 journalists coming from Pakistan, here in the context of a visit organized with the precious help of our delegation in Islamabad. I hope you enjoy your time in the European Commission and in Brussels more generally. A very warm welcome to you. And with this, we conclude our announcements and we can open the floor to your questions. Yes, Maria.
Good morning. Thank you. Maria Vasiliou, Tanea, Greece. It's a question on the drones wall. Former Secretary General of NATO, Rasmussen, said on Friday that we cannot wait for a year for the anti-drone wall, referring to a statement made by Commissioner Kubilius. He said we should accelerate, and he said the technology is there. It's a matter of months to put such a system together. Was this kind of urgency shared during the meeting Commissioner Kubilius convened on Friday? Was there a discussion about a concrete time frame? And what are the next steps? Is the Commissioner, for example, planning to meet with companies that produce such systems? And also, what is your view on the statement that we have to be clear to Russia that any incursions should be shut down? Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas is already on the podium. Thomas.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Maria. So first on the comments you're referring to, I mean, we fully share the same sense of urgency. This is why this meeting was organized with the 7 frontline member states, with Denmark, with Slovakia, with Hungary, and with Ukraine. Following up on these discussions, I mean, Commissioner Kubilius had the chance to explain this too. It was a productive initial exchange, indeed, where we learned also a lot from Ukraine's capabilities when it comes to the drone wall. Now, in terms of next steps, indeed, now this needs to be discussed with the other member states in a broader format. This will be done in October in the framework of the Council summits that will take place. So, voilà, yes, the sense of urgency is here. We need to check what we can do, how quickly we can do. Of course, Commissioner Kubilius, you're fully right, mentioned a one-year timeline. We need to be realistic. Now we will work hand in hand with our member states to make sure that we can make this happen. I also recall that NATO representatives were also there in the meeting, so we always said it's two, that of course our cooperation with our NATO partners remains.
Thank you. Yes, Maria, would like to have a follow-up?
No, just to remind you of the last part of the question, what is your view that we have to be clear that any incursions should be shut down?
Thank you. I would be very careful and put, again, the member states in the driving seat when it comes to their national competences. A lot of this remains in the hands of the member states. What we are doing from a Commission point of view, we are facilitating this process to create synergies between EU member states to make sure that this drone wall can protect us from the drone attacks that we have seen in the recent weeks. Now, when it comes to the shutting down, this is not for me here as representing the Commission to get into that. Member states remain in the driving seat for this.
Jorge.
Hello, Thomas. I was listening to Kubilius on Friday, and he clearly said that the drone wall will have a double mandate to detect and to destroy. He used the word destroy, but now you're saying the U.S. Commission cannot say on whether the drone should be shut down or not. I mean, what is the purpose, in your view, of the drone wall? Would it have this twofold mandate or just about detection? Can you clarify? Thank you.
Thanks, Jorge. This indeed allows me to clarify. The comments I just made were in the current situation here when we're speaking about the recent events we have seen. I mean, it's for the national member states to determine from where these drone comes from. Investigations are ongoing, for example, also in Denmark. This is not our role, so also the reply to these drone incursions is not for us, it's for the member states to determine. Now, on the drone wall more specifically, of course, we're engaging with member states to have a European solution to protect us, and this, indeed, the drone wall as such that we will be building will have indeed these two tracks. First, detection, and then being able to respond to that. So, of course, the response at European level together, hand in hand with our member states and with our industries, will be that, but this doesn't apply in the situation that we're experiencing today.
Thank you. To Thomas, yeah.
Tatiana Vysotska, European Pravda, Ukraine. I've got a follow-up also on the wall of drones. You mentioned that it will be discussed on future councils. Which councils did you mean? Will it be discussed on the informal council this week of the heads of the states? And actually, is the European Commission going to prepare some document on this drone wall? Will it be some project of the Commission, or it's up to the member states to create something? Just on the level of member states, not the EU. Thank you.
Good. Let me just give it a go at your first question without prejudging how the presidency will steer the discussions, but indeed I think it is to be expected that there could be an initial discussion with member states on this regard, on what other projects in defence. And as you know, the European Council has asked the Commission to come forward with a readiness roadmap, and we're working on it. And this week's informal council will be also an opportunity to listen to member states so that we can advance the work on this roadmap for further discussion later this month. Yes, please.
I'm Luminița Toma from Moldova's national broadcaster, I wanted to ask you, can you please comment on Moldova's parliamentary election result, please? What it means, this result, for Moldovans, and can you please talk us through the Brussels perspective on this matter? But I'd also want to know, how is this clearly pro-European vote seen here in the light of, I wouldn't even call it unprecedented, open attack on the election process? I mean, bomb threats, cyber attacks, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Very much. We'll be very, very pleased, actually, to reply to your question on the elections in Moldova, on the very important elections yesterday. But if you allow me, first, and just enjoying the presence of Thomas on the podium, let's see if there's no further question to Thomas here in the room under his different hats. Not in the room. I have a question online. Let's clarify whether this is also for Thomas. No, it's not, but I still have one. Sandor Giros, is it for Thomas?
Hello, yes, indeed, it is for Thomas. It's on the drone wall. I would like to understand if there is enough trust towards Hungary and Slovakia in the drone wall initiative, given the fact that both leaders of these countries have very close relationship with Russia, and also, if I understand well, there was a delay in the invitations sent to those two countries. So if there are any guarantees in fields of security related to the drone war. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have been very clear on the fact that we will need a European response to the current threats, including in the framework of the drone wall. Now, the discussions initially were planned indeed with the 7 frontline member states. Now, it goes without saying that eastern flank countries, including the 2 you're referring to, have a legitimate interest in participating in these discussions. Why? Precisely because we will need a European reply to these threats. Now, that being said, what I can say is that we, of course, expect from all participating member states, we expect strong commitment and deliverables in these exchanges and to deliver on this drone wall.
Thank you, Thomas. I see, yes, now a new question for Thomas? Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Elena Abramovich, Radio Free Europe. Just a little follow-up. So if there is no this strong participation, etc., do you consider at a certain stage to revise the members of this drone wall group, or what does this phrase mean right now? Thank you.
There is no intention to revise whatsoever. I mean, building a wall with holes will not really work. We need one wall. And this goes from the north to the south. We need to protect the eastern flank. So having a wall that has loopholes in between is not a proper wall. So we will need a European approach with all our member states on board.
Thank you, Thomas. Now, I don't see further questions for you. So now we could take the question on Moldova. And if you don't mind, I would just ask you to repeat for the sake of our recording. It's easier if we have then the question together with the answer. Okay. Now it should work.
So yeah, if you could please comment on Moldova's parliamentary elections result, what it means for the Moldovans, but have the Brussels perspective on this, and also how is this clearly pro-European vote, seen here in the light of the attacks on the election process, meaning cyber attacks, bomb alerts, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. And before giving the floor to Guillaume, I am pleased to also quote the social media post from President von der Leyen on the elections of Moldova this morning, where she recalls that Moldova has made a clear choice for freedom, for democracy, for Europe, and she also tackles the issue you mentioned by saying that no attempt to sow fear or division could break the resolve of the Moldavian people to vote, and as said, to vote for freedom, for democracy, and for Europe. Guillaume, you may want to compliment.
Thank you, Paula. Yes, so yesterday the democracy and the will of the Moldovan people won. Moldova has made a clear choice for freedom, democracy, and Europe. Despite all the Russian interference and the money Russia spent trying to buy votes, intimidate and spread lies, Russia failed. We are impressed by the resilience of the Moldovan people and their determination to keep their country on the right track towards democracy and prosperity. The EU looks forward to working with the new parliament and the incoming government, and we will continue supporting Moldova's strategic objective towards EU accession as anchored in the Constitution. The EU remains a committed and reliable partner for the Moldovans and for Moldova.
Yes, and still quoting from President von der Leyen's social media post, our door is open and we will stand with Moldova every step of the way.
And if you allow me to then go back to your other question on how the elections took place and the challenges and the challenging situation. As we have seen, Russia has heavily tried to interfere in these elections. We fully trust the Moldovan authorities with investigations to look into the different cases. The Moldovan authorities have made significant efforts to uphold the integrity of the elections and the democratic choices of the Moldovan citizens.
Yes, a question still to Guillaume. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Ksenia Polska, Deutsche Welle. I have a question about the future of Moldova, because prior to the elections, we spoke with several experts who all share the opinion that even despite the fact that Moldova passed this test, still the democracy and the institutions in Moldova, especially under such heavy Russian influence, are very weak. So would you consider, as the Commission, to take any additional steps for protecting Moldova from this ever-increasing Russian influence? Because it's obvious that Russia will not stop its attempts to influence Moldova in any way. And what could these measures, or if there are any additional measures for supporting Moldova and its resilience, what could these measures be? Thank you.
I think the elections results confirm that Moldovan support for their country, European future, and for their expectations to continued reforms. This is really for the benefits of all the Moldovan people. So the EU will continue to stand with Moldova, as I said, and as the new government also undertakes this work. More into what the concrete measures. I mean, we expressed already last week the very important support that the EU delivers. I mean, continues to deliver to Moldova. We have obviously the political support. We work on the accession process full speed ahead. We managed to finalize the screening process of all the clusters last week, so it shows really the determination on both sides. We also have financial support that is quite significant. We're talking about 1.9 billion euros to Moldova throughout the growth plan. We have clear also initiatives really for the benefits of citizens. And when it comes to strengthening democracy and the hybrid war by Russia, we have a series of instruments already in place, which we detailed last week, and we'll continue to really to capitalize on what we have done. And we look in the future how perhaps this can be further reinforced. But as we have seen here, there was a clear determination from Moldova to make sure that the elections could take place in an environment that was that led to the results today.
Thank you. Yes, a follow-up.
Yes, a question on Moldova, and not only on Moldova. The best way to support Moldova on its way to the European Union is to open the negotiation cluster. at least first one, and also the same thing is that Ukraine is waiting. Today, media wrote about the initiative of Antonio Costa, President of the Council, to open the clusters for Ukraine and probably Moldova without yes from Hungary. So it is possible to open clusters with qualified majority and closed clusters with unanimity. Does the Commission know anything about this proposal? Did the Commission experts made some examinations, some research of these proposals, and do you have any position on that? To open negotiation clusters for Ukraine and Moldova without unanimity? Thank you.
We have expressed already several times our position here, but I'm happy to reiterate, and also in the context of the Moldovan elections, I think it's very clear to mention from our side that our position is that we should open Cluster 1 for Ukraine and Moldova. They have done the work. They have met the criteria, meaning the roadmap on rule of law and the action plan on minorities for Ukraine. So this, the opening of Cluster 1 should happen without any further delay. This is what we have always defended, a merit-based approach, and in this case, we believe there's no reason, objective reason, to oppose the opening of Cluster 1. Now, on the discussions that are ongoing, it's really for the member states to decide on the next steps, and we hope that we'll be able to open Cluster 1 as soon as possible. From our side, what we need to do, and what we'll continue to do, is to provide necessary support to Moldova and Ukraine, and also the necessary work to put the member states in a position to take a decision on the next steps.
Oui, Karl.
Karl de Meyer for Les Echos. It's a follow-up. So given the strong signal that Moldovan voters just sent, does the Commission think that it would make sense to decouple Ukraine and Moldova, since the discussions you just mentioned in the Council seem to be difficult?
Again, on the decoupling, this is something that we have touched upon already in the past. This is a decision from the member states if they want to decouple Moldova and Ukraine. From our side, we support Moldova and Ukraine. No matter the decisions of the member states, we'll continue our technical, political, and financial support to both Moldova and Ukraine. And then if a decision on decoupling takes place, it will be for the member state.
Thank you. Other questions to Guillaume? Yes, Nicolas. Still to Guillaume? Okay, so Guillaume is today stepping in for Anita Anwar, so foreign affairs questions also go to Guillaume. You want to still, would it be from this angle, Nicolas? Okay, so we wait a bit and we take a question here.
Valeria Pashko, Public Broadcaster of Ukraine. Could you confirm the date when the screening process is going to be over, and what are the next steps in this regard? Thanks.
The screening process for Ukraine, I guess, yeah. So the screening process for Ukraine has taken place really in full speed, in record time. This week we should finalize the work on the screening process. So a meeting has taken place already today, but it will continue until tomorrow. So the screening process will end tomorrow when the meeting finishes. It shows again the determination from Ukraine, but also from our side, to speed up as soon as possible the preparatory work for EU accession. Let me recall that we have assessed, as I said before, the criteria for opening Cluster 1, meaning the roadmap and the action plan on minorities in Ukraine. So again, we would support the opening of Cluster 1.
Good. Still questions for Guillaume? Yes, Jorge.
Yes, going back to this Costa plan that Tatiana mentioned, do you support the use of qualified majority to advance in the opening of clusters? Because we know that in the treaties it's written unanimity. So what is the Commission's position regarding a possible reinterpretation of the treaties to allow qualified majority in this process? Thank you.
So in this specific case, again, I would like really to repeat that position. I think is very important. When a country is held back for no objective reasons, despite meeting the criteria, the credibility of the entire enlargement process is at risk. So it is, again, for in this specific context, for the member states to take a decision. And our side will facilitate all the discussions. If we do a step back more on qualified majority, so when it comes to EU accession, so the Commission stated in its pre-enlargement policy reviews communication, which was published last year, that in line with the European Council conclusion and call for accelerated accession process, the enlargement process itself could be looked at. So this is something that we said in our communication. So the possibility of empowering the Council to decide by qualified majority could be explored for certain interim steps in the enlargement process, and the closing of the negotiating chapter should continue to be taken by unanimity by all the member states, as the will of the final decision on the actual decision on accession also should be taken by unanimity. But we opened the discussions and we said that we can look into it, but this is really a prerogative also for the member states, the final decision.
Yeah, and in this context, let me recall also President von der Leyen's speech at Soteo, Jorge, where the President said that we need to move to qualified majority in some areas, and she mentioned only explicitly foreign policy, left it open whether there could be other examples, but this also illustrates what Guillaume has just said, that this could be indeed explored. Other questions? Wait, because I think we still have some for Guillaume. Let's see if Vitaly Sizov.
Thank you for the possibility to ask questions. There is information that the United States presidential administration is considering a request to provide Ukraine with long-range rockets Tomahawk. Do you know something about that? And from your position, will you support such kind of decision to send such kind of missiles to Ukraine? Thank you.
Thank you, Vitaly, for the question. First, I would use the opportunity of your question to react to the latest developments that we have seen in Ukraine over the weekend. So it shows that Russia continues its terror campaign against civilians. So this weekend we have seen another massive attack on Ukraine. The outcome was the destruction of homes. A medical institute was also hit. According to the Ukrainian authorities, at least 4 people were killed and dozens were injured. So Russia must stop. This is why we continue to put pressure on Russia, including through sanctions. You know that we have also presented the 19th sanction package targeting crypto, bank, and energy, and also we know that sanctions are an effective tool for economic pressure. When it comes to your second question, as I said, the situation is extremely difficult on the ground. Our commitment to support Ukraine is clear. Member states have provided 63 billion in military assistance, and this year alone, we aim to reach 25 billion euros in military support. When it comes to your specific questions, we cannot comment on the specific equipment at this stage.
Okay, other questions? I still see one question. I'm coming over to you. Online, is it for Guillaume, Mathis, Schiffers?
Oh, it's about the CHIPS Act. Sorry. It's about the CHIPS Act.
We cannot hear you clearly, Mathis.
My question is about the CHIPS Act.
the CHIPS Act, so that will be for Thomas. So let us come back to you, Matthijs. Mose.
Thank you, Paula. I would like to switch to the Middle East conflict and ask a question relating to today's decisive meeting, I think, between Trump and Netanyahu on the American plan to end the war in Gaza, based on a plan on 21 points, which I think also was consulted, approved in Trump's meeting with a number of Arab and Muslim countries, perhaps also including Pakistan, I suppose. The question to be asked is whether, not only if EU was consulted, but what is EU's position on that plan? Do you think that EU support it, although it doesn't seem to include a clear pathway to the two-state solution, which, as we know, was rejected by Netanyahu for the wrong reasons, I think, in his speech on Friday? Thank you.
I'm sure it was, could you hear well?
The last part?
The last part was not clear, Mose, if you don't mind repeating.
The question I would like to ask if the EU has a position on this 21-points plan, whether you support it. Thank you.
Well, Mose, first, I think it's important to recall a position on the situation. So as the HRVP said, we have a collective responsibility to change the situation. So we call for an immediate ceasefire, the release of all hostages, and humanitarian aid into Gaza at scale. And let me recall that Europe has been the most active global actor in Gaza. We support the Palestinian Authority, and also we support with financial support on the ground. And on our side, we'll continue to support all efforts towards a ceasefire in Gaza.
Thank you. Other questions to Guillaume? No. Then, Nikolaos, now we can move on to you.
Thank you so much. So, during your State of the Union speech, the President said that Russian assets will not be touched. Last week, DG John Berrigan told the Econ Committee that the assets will be mobilized. How can the funds be mobilized without touching them? And does the Commission have a specific target date in mind for when the first tranche of the loan should be paid out and or agreed by Member States?
Thank you.
Yes, that's exactly what we are working on. We are working on the details. So, as you say, we had a sort of speech. The President said that we are going to work on solutions to make available reparation loans to Ukraine on the basis of the immobilized Russian assets without touching these underlying Russian assets, and that's very important. So the Commission is looking at this very closely, and will be coming forward with the proposal soon. I cannot give you a specific timeline at this point in time, but we are working on this very hard.
Yes, Paula. Still on this, still to Balázs.
Hi, yes, same topic. Could you clarify if it's possible to do this scheme without unanimity in the European Council? Thank you.
A little bit premature, this question at this point in time. It all depends on how the scheme is calibrated. So since work is ongoing, work is in progress, obviously I cannot speculate on what the conclusion of this piece of work will be.
Indeed, Carl.
Yeah, same topic. Can you confirm that the new scheme includes a guarantee by member states for the legal security of Euroclear, and that is a condition for the Belgian government to approve of the scheme?
As Balázs just said, the discussions are ongoing, and you mentioned, one of the possibilities is guarantees. There are various options being discussed. But we do not yet have a landing zone. So we'll need to wait a bit more to see exactly how it will look like. That's when also we will be able to tell you on the basis of which voting majority this can be endorsed. Yes, Maria.
Again, the same topic. Do you have a landing zone on how much money we are talking about, or you are still working on that as well? Thank you.
Well, I think this is something that is known publicly, that we are talking about in terms of immobilized Russian assets around 170 billion at this point in time, which is what is accumulated on the accounts of Euroclear.
Jorge, still on this subject, immobilized Russian assets.
Yes, reparations loan. 2 questions. The first one, last week, Chancellor Merz expressed support for this initiative that you're preparing publicly, but he spoke about confiscation. So there seems to be a misunderstanding between Brussels and Berlin. Have you explained to Berlin that you're not thinking about confiscation, or has Berlin asked you to confiscate the assets? And second, have you already presented this proposal to the G7, including the United States, or not yet? Thank you.
In terms of how the proposal is being prepared, there are, of course, close contacts between the member states and the European Commission, and we keep them in the loop at all times. I'm not aware of any such request from the German side. The G7, I think also definitely, we are ready to have these types of discussions with G7 partners, and there will be a G7 finance ministers VTC meeting later this week, and of course we are ready to engage in any discussions in this domain. But what G7 partners do is basically their decision, so that we are ready to discuss.
Valeria Pashko, Public Broadcaster of Ukraine. When do you foresee that this proposal could be adopted, and will the head of states discuss this proposal during the Copenhagen meeting, or maybe during the next formal EUCO? Thanks.
Yeah, look, I cannot commit to a specific timeline, but we are looking at this issue very closely, and we are working on it as rapidly as we can. I think if you look at the publicly available agenda of the informal EUCO meeting in Copenhagen, we see that there's a point on ways of providing financial support to Ukraine. So, of course, I cannot speculate on what will exactly come up, but that's not unlikely that it could be discussed by the leaders.
Okay. Now I don't see more questions in the room for Balázs. But online, is it for Balázs, Oliver Grimm?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Oliver Grimm with the Austrian newspaper Die Presse. First of all, a factual question. Balázs, you said 170 billion euros approximately on the accounts of Euroclear. I always read it something like 190. Was that initial figure wrong, or has the amount diminished? So that will be interesting. And secondly, a political question. So it's probably to you, Paula. The impression naive people like me get is that 2 weeks ago, the Commission President still said we're not going to mess with these reserves. Then suddenly in Berlin, the German government realized they're going to need lots and lots and lots of billions to rearm Germany and rearm Europe, and they're going to look for other ways of helping Ukraine to defend itself and rebuild itself. So Merz writes the famous op-ed. He possibly gets in touch with the Commission, and the Commission now is trying to wiggle out of the corner that it had put itself in. But basically, you don't really have a plan, because how can you use something as safety for the non-payment of a credit if you don't touch or somehow block or somehow get a lien on these funds, on these frozen assets? Thank you.
If I may...
While I look for...
Yes, Paula is looking for it. That's exactly what we are working on. So we are looking at ways of delivering on what the President said in her Soteo speech. But again, what she said stands firm, so we will not be touching the underlying assets. And please give us a bit of time to work out the details, and we will, of course, keep you posted. Regarding the amount, I think the situation is evolving dynamically, because some of the investments made through Euroclear are maturing as time goes by, and therefore that can affect, of course, the amount of money that accumulates on the balance sheet of Euroclear in the form of cash balance.
And yes, I was looking for the exact quote of President von der Leyen in her Soto speech. Couldn't find it on time, but which Balázs has already referred to. I just wanted to give the exact quote. The issue is that there is some momentum behind this discussion on demobilized Russian assets, and as we've been saying for the past 3 or 4 questions, the discussion is open, the discussion is ongoing with member states, and so we will need to see exactly how it will look like, what will be the form, and I think we should be able to have more details on this soon. There are a number of occasions where this could be discussed. Indeed, for instance, it could come up at this week's informal council. There will be a formal council later this month, so there would be probably the opportunity to shed more light on the exact details of such a proposal, having discussed it with all the member states. Other questions to Balázs? Nope. Then we can change topic. Yes.
Thank you very much, Roland Papid Népszava. I have a question regarding Page Pride. It's a Hungarian Pride March which has been banned by the police. And in June, when Budapest Pride took place, at least the Commission had some supporting messages, but no legal steps. Now, in the case of Page Pride, there is nothing so far, as I understand, and participants are facing hundreds of euros of fines and organizers even prison sentences. So how is the Commission planning to protect the people who want to exercise their fundamental rights this Saturday in Page? Thank you.
Thank you, Roland. Eva.
Thank you, Roland, for the question. I can assure you that we stand with the LGBTIQ community in Hungary, but not only in Hungary, in all the member states of our union, because the right to march peacefully and to assemble peacefully, it's a cornerstone of our values, and it's a part of our charter, and it's a basis of our democracies. And our union is founded on the union of equality, where you can be who you are and where you can love who you want. We have freedom in the European Union, and we can benefit from that. President von der Leyen, before the Pride in Budapest, she expressed repeatedly support to the LGBTIQ community, and she also called the Hungarian authorities not to allow the Budapest Pride to go ahead with fear of any criminal sanctions or administrative sanctions. And this is a position that we have for any peaceful march, so we can reiterate it several times from this podium, and this also applies to the Pride in Pest.
Thank you. Yes, Roland, you have a follow-up.
Yes, thank you for the supporting words, but how is it going to protect people who are there from fines and organizers from prison? Thank you.
As you know, according to our legislative, it's up to the member state to create the measures. But as I said, in our fundamental charter is a provision of being able to peacefully march and to assembly. So we call again the Hungarian authorities to enable the community to celebrate diversity and equality in Pest. We were happy to see the Pride in Budapest, that it happened in such a peaceful manner with so many participants, and we think that this is exactly what is European Union about diversity, because we know that diversity is bringing benefit into our societies.
Sandor Giros, I imagine it could be on the same topic.
Yes, it is. Thank you. It's a follow-up to the question of Roland. Eva, can you tell me, please, maybe I missed something, but did the Commission already conclude its evaluation on the law that is effectively banning the gay pride in Hungary. Is this investigation already concluded? What is the result? Will there be any infringement in this case? Because it's been a while, I think, a couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you, Shandor. You are right. It's been a while, but it's a very complex issue, and we are analyzing this law from different aspects because there is also, for example, this AI aspect, the facial recognition, but not only this. So we have asked the Hungarian side for some clarifications. We were waiting for a reply, and at the moment we are analyzing the replies from the Hungarian side.
Okay. Other questions to Eva? Nope. We change topic. Nikolaus.
Thank you. Nicholas Kumar for Euractiv. This one is on trade. Why did the Commission send the recent ruling on its WTO ruling on its tariffs against Indonesian palm oil to the defunct dispute settlement body? Are you afraid that this will affect relations given the newly found trade relationship? And secondly, why did this decision differ from the one taken in January, where the Commission accepted the ruling against discriminatory palm oil rules?
Olaf.
Thanks, Nikolaus. I don't have information on this to hand. I'll have to come back to in the afternoon. My apologies. Thanks.
We will come back to you, Nicholas, on this. Yes, please, on trade.
Yes, Daniel in Winkler, NZZ. Olaf, can you say something? I mean, you have been convinced on Friday that this famous 15% all-inclusive are for Europeans pharmaceutical. Do you have any signals in the meantime from the United States if this is true? Second question, some people or some firms are very confused about this steel. If, for example, they produce a machine with 5% steel, what kind of tariff they have to pay, 50% or not 50%? So is there any clarification or is there any progress in the question if you get quotas instead of tariffs? But I think it's a lot of confusion about firms, about this, if you have a machine with 5%, 10% steel or aluminium.
Thanks for your questions. I'll take them sequentially, but just as a general response, any confusion does not come from our side. And it's very important that we always keep that in mind. We are the ones trying to make sense of confusion. So with that in mind, on your first question, the EU-US joint statement spells out the following, and I quote, "The United States intends to promptly ensure that the tariff rate comprised of the MFN tariff and the tariff imposed pursuant to Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 applied to originating goods of the European Union subject to Section 232 actions on pharmaceuticals, semiconductors and lumber does not exceed 15%, end quote. Therefore, we have a clear and all-inclusive commitment from the US on a tariff ceiling. This includes EU pharmaceutical exports, and we look forward to the US implementing that at the point where they will implement it. On your second question on steel, so first of all, just to recall the context here, steel is a hugely important strategic sector for the European Union, vital for our economy, for our resilience, and a lot of people's livelihoods depend on it. We remain absolutely committed to protecting the steel sector and enabling it to invest, innovate and thrive in Europe. We are working with them, including in the context of the strategic dialogue, but with an ongoing strategic engagement as well. On this particular question, we need to understand better from our US counterparts what is happening, and to that end we have technical and political level contact ongoing. Once I can say more, I will do so.
Thank you, Olaf. Yes, please.
Thank you. Andres Estun from Expansión. I wanted to ask if the Commission was able to send the United States a proposal regarding the cooperation in steel and aluminium, as the Commissioner mentioned, that what will happen during the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. To my knowledge, a formal proposal, let's say a structured formal proposal, comprehensive proposal in that sense has not been sent, but this is an issue that we are indeed discussing at technical and political level. We have a commitment in the joint statement to taking that work forward. As I mentioned, this is a strategic priority for us due to the steel sector being a strategic priority for us, and therefore we are committed to moving forward on this as quickly as possible. I can't provide more details at the moment.
Good. Yes, and for on trade still for Olaf.
Satya from NHK, thank you. Just related to the tariffs, President Trump last week announced the 25% tariffs on trucks imported to the U.S., and I was wondering if the EU has received confirmation that this wouldn't be applied to the EU, because in Japan we have received indications that trucks won't be acknowledged as automobiles, so the 25% tariffs would be applied for us. So.
Thanks for your question, Satya. Our understanding is the same. In other words, that the tariffs for trucks would apply to the European Union, but it's important to keep in mind that truck exports from the European Union to the US are very low, and that's, as a background point, that's very important to keep in mind in this context.
Thank you, Olaf. Other questions to Olaf? No. Any other questions today? Yes. First question today, there from the back, so there we go.
Thank you. Augustin Palokai, Jutarnji List. I have a question for Anna Kaisa. It's on energy and exchange of accusations between Croatia and Hungary, who is profiteering from the war in Ukraine. Budapest accusing Zagreb that it's charging too high prices for the pipeline that brings the oil from Croatian coast to Hungary, while Croatia is saying that denying that and accusing Hungary by profiteering by buying cheap Russian oil. So I know that you don't want to go into the dispute between member states, but one Croatian minister said that the European Commission is informed about the capability and capacity of the JANAF to transfer enough oil for the needs of landlocked countries such as Hungary and Slovakia. So can you confirm this, and is Croatia playing a role in, how to say, giving alternative to those countries to stop buying Russian oil? Thank you.
We are informed about the ongoing capacity tests between MOL, which is the Hungarian owner of these refineries, as well as JANAF, which is the Croatian Adria pipeline operator. And the purpose of these capacity tests is to increase the use of the Adria oil pipeline. And the purpose of this and why we follow this very closely is that the Adria oil pipeline could help Hungary and Slovakia in diversifying away from Russian oil, and this would be very much in line with the repower objectives. So what, again, as you quite rightly commented, that we would not comment on any kind of conversations, disputes, or anything like that between our member states or companies of our member states. We remain ready, as we always are, to facilitate any kind of discussions, any kind of conversations between our member states as they seek to, in this case, to increase the oil flows via or through the Adria oil pipeline, if this is needed indeed. So we remain ready. We want to make sure that the repower plan that we presented 3 years ago and the legislation that we presented in June will be something that is implementable by our member states, and in this role we do stay in touch with member states. We have been informed about this, and this is the extent to which I can comment on the developments there at this moment.
Yeah, you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Hungarian minister said that the Adriatic pipeline, JANAF, doesn't have capacity to fulfill the needs that Hungary has. Croatia is saying other way. And Croatian minister said that the Commission is aware that JANAF has enough capacity. So what's your assessment whether JANAF has enough capacity to fulfill the needs for the refineries in Hungary?
As I said, my latest information on this is that these capacity tests are still ongoing. So we are in close contact. We obviously get the information that is needed for us, and we stay in touch with both the operators as well as with member states, our counterparts. But I do not have any further comment to make on the comments made by either of the sides of these tests.
Any other question to Anna Kaiser? No. Then I had promised to come back to you, Matthijs, on the CHIPS Act, was it?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Paula.
Thomas. It's a second go for Thomas.
Can I shoot my question?
Yes, go ahead.
So the 27 member states have signed a declaration and handed it over to the Commission on the CHIPS Act today. They say the targets of the CHIPS Act, as it is currently, the 20% target of production market share in 2030 is unrealistic and too broad, and they ask for a revised strategy. What is your answer to that? Thank you.
Thank you, Matthijs. First, let me start by recalling indeed that we have a very ambitious target. Why? Because there is no digital without chips. If you don't have the chips, you don't have digital. If you don't have chips, you don't have AI. If you don't have chips, you don't have AI factories nor gigafactories. So yes, we have a very ambitious target, 20% global market share by 2030. Now, that being said, we also received an ECHA report, I think, earlier this year, saying that this is a very ambitious target, asking the Commission to review the possibility of checking again these targets, which we are, by the way, doing. We have opened a public consultation earlier in September, a call for evidence, where stakeholders can currently participate and submit their contributions. So we will, of course, consider it, but the reasons for having an ambitious target are evident.
Thank you, Thomas. Good, and we'll take one final question. We're beyond the hour. I had seen Maria indeed before. Maria.
Yeah. Well, it's on the recovery fund. Thank you for taking the question. Maria Vasiliou, Tanea, Greece. A Commission team is visiting Athens for another review of the Greek recovery plan, and it seems there is a large number of milestones to be discussed, and also there is a number of projects that might be delisted, left on the side because they cannot be completed. I would like to ask you, what milestone, how many milestones are we talking about, and what projects is the Commission thinking that won't be completed? And more generally speaking, because in a year, the recovery fund, in exactly 1 year, in September next year, member states won't have the chance to absorb more money. Whether the Commission is thinking of presenting additional solutions, apart from the ones already presented, to help the member states absorb the money, because, for example, in Greece, only 10 billion euros have reached the final recipients, and Greece, the Commission has said, is doing quite well. So I imagine other countries are really in a more difficult situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Good afternoon, colleagues. Well, indeed, as you know, the timeline of the RRF is limited. So the program will last until the end of the 2026, which means that member states, they have to submit all the milestones and targets fulfilled until the end of August 2026. And then we'll assess them until the end of September, and we'll be able to make payments only until the end of that year. That means that we have invited all member states, including Greece, to review their plans and to keep in their plans only those milestones and targets
which are feasible to be delivered by these deadlines, because these deadlines cannot be prolonged. Greece is one of the member states which is reviewing their plan. There are many member states which are doing so in order indeed to keep within the plan the projects which are deliverable by the deadline. Which specific projects for Greece are relevant, I cannot tell you. This is a question also partly to the Greek authorities, which are on a daily basis managing their recovery plan. I can check on our side. What I can tell you more in detail later. But in any case, this exercise is aiming for all countries to be able to deliver the projects which can be completed by basically August 2026. In the communication on that very topic that we published in June, we also provided for other possibilities to member states, which allows them to redirect the money to other objectives in order not to lose the money that were initially planned for the recovery plans. There are a number of different possibilities. For instance, some projects could be potentially, for instance, delivered or implemented through the cohesion funds. There are other options such as Invest EU programs that are implemented by other member states, or even like in the case of Poland, for instance, there is a defense fund that was designed in order to be able to use the money that could not be under the RRF delivered until August 2026. So there are a number of options. We are now discussing with many member states, including Greece, about these options in order to help and support member states to use as much money as possible by the deadlines, which are not changeable anymore, since they come from the RRF regulation, and this regulation cannot be changed without an ordinary legislative process.
Thank you, Maciej. And this brings us to the end of today's midday. Wish you bon appétit and a nice afternoon.
Primazul diğerleri.